Well, hello my YouTube friend. It's been a while since my last video and actually I'm quite happy to have the opportunity now to present you this knife that I really wanted to have the chance, to play with, to analyze it for a while. And for those of you who are in the custom knife world, of course you all recognized the Lochsa. Lochsa from Scott Cook. So you also that, I mean, those knives, you know that they are quite difficult to get. Very, very difficult. Scott doesn't take orders, and for those of you who are in his books, the lucky one, I think that the waiting list is something like, I don't know, 6-7 years, which is absolutely crazy. So the only way to get Lochsa is within the secondary market. And for some reason, people who own Lochsa, either, they keep them and they don't show them that often. I mean, we don't see in the regular social media like Facebook, like Instagram, or YouTube, we don't see a lot of those, popping like that. It looks like people who owns them just keep them, that's it, and or resell them. But they are not, I mean, they've been here forever, but they are not as trendy, oddly, because like I said, to get one is a hard endeavor, and when you have one popping on one website, you can be sure that it's going to be sold like within a day, and for crazy dollars. So this is something that always surprised me with those knives, and I wanted to address that. Why you don't see them that often, why they don't seem to be that trendy, but yet whenever they pop, boom, you can be sure that someone will buy it. So that's not really my concern. Actually, my concern is to make a kind of review about that knife and tell you what I think is fantastic about it, and if there are any flaws. And believe me, there are not much of those. So Scott Cook is not, the beginner knife maker. He's been making knives since 1990s, from what I remember. He's been working with a lot of companies, including Chris Reeves. And you can tell a lot of people are comparing actually his knives to Chris Reeves knives. I can understand, I can understand that it looks from distance, not from distance. I mean, it looks like a 21 for sure. But, I mean, if you take a drop point knife, a folder knife, there are slabs of titanium. The drop point is, I mean, how different and how original can you be by making knives? I mean, this is inspired by the design of Chris Reeves, okay, but Chris Reeves was inspired by the design of, say, I don't know, whomever came before him. Everyone is inspired. I mean, true. I'm losing my words, sorry about that. But I don't believe that you really reinvent the wheel. Someone invented the wheel at some point, but you are not going to reinvent it. So most of the time, you can expect knives to be inspired, and it happens all the time. I've been hearing that from Todd Rexford, from Walter Randolph with Rexford, from I mean, you name it. This is something that you really, really often hear. Now, is that knife compared to a Sebenza? By no means it doesn't. By absolutely no means. And I'm going to try to let you know not why it doesn't resemble to a Sebenza, it's not my point, but why this knife is really so particular from what I understand of it and from what I feel of it, actually. So here we have a full custom knife made by a single man, I mean Scott Cook. And first of all, it's an integral build. So you don't have that many makers that do integral builds. You have basically him and Peter Assanti, Dalibor, but the build is different. I mean, Dalibor is going to be more like sturdy builds, strong, sturdy builds. And I was going to say the more refined, but don't get me wrong. I mean, the quality is the same for me, but it's more, artistic looking knives. Scott Cook and Peter Assanti might be the only one do it that way. So you don't have many makers that do integrals. And man, does that Scott Cook does a great job in his integral. First of all, because the build is something special, and then he's getting a contouring. Look at that. I mean, this is an extremely contoured knife. I hope that the video, of course you can see, when you take it from this side, you can tell that here you have like a kind of, those are all contouring. Look at that. It looks like a mountain here. And it's dramatically contoured. Look at the thickness that you have here and the thinness that you have here. And again, here it goes back to thick. So you have on that handle a tremendous amount of contouring. Not only here on the flat side, I'm not going to call it flat, there's nothing more nothing flat left on this side, but also the edges are contoured, as you can see here. And on this particular one, you have this you noticed this double finish with the satin hand rubbed on this side, on the flat side, and the edges and the back are how can I call that? I mean, it's almost blackened, it's not a bit blast. It is a bit blast for sure, but very, very dark. So the contrast is huge, with the satin part. Oh yes, here you can tell between the bead blast part and the satin part, and I absolutely adore that contrast. Very, very nice finish. The clip also. So the clip is not. This is something that I don't like. Let's clear that while we're at it. I like almost everything about that knife. The only thing that I don't like is the design of the clip, which is functional, just like Tom Mayo, for example. The clip are not the best features in his knives, but at least they're functional. And this one is set in a tip-down carry position, which is something that has been decided by the owner, because he can make them tip up or tip down. So for the life of me, I don't understand why, because this knife was built in 2015, why anyone would ask for a tip-down carry, but anyway, it's not an issue. So yeah, very, very nice contrast, tremendous amount of contouring, like I said. Here you have a lanyard hold, and the lanyard is very, very nice piece of leather, and I like this lanyard hold actually. It's drilled inside the frame itself. Very, very nice. I absolutely adore this side. Look at that. Let's look at it from here. This side of the Lochsa is probably one of the best looking side of any knives I've ever held or owned. Look at that. How even it is. The centering is spot on. Here you can appreciate the enormous amount of contouring that you have on the knife and the evenness that you have on both sides. Even the cut, the relief cut, is done on the inside, which is something that I really appreciate because it leaves a very neat, aspect of the lock. This is something that I don't. It's not that I don't appreciate, but I think it's not that beautiful when you have the cut on the outside. I don't understand why not everyone does the relief cut on the inside. But artistically speaking, not only he did the relief cut on the inside, and also, with this kind of, it's not just a cut. You see that there is some milling inside the cut itself. He went for the evenness, and I'm sure that it's not random. For sure that is not random. He did another cut on the inside, and that doesn't relief from anything, because you don't have to do that cut here. The only reason here is to make it even with the other side. Look how beautiful it is here. The same contouring here. The double thumb stud is a requirement, an obligation, because here also it brings some evenness here. So the clip, of course, takes off some of this evenness, but whatever. You see what I mean, how beautiful it is. I absolutely adore that side right there. Like I said, for me, it's the best side of all knives combined. I can love or like, and as a matter of fact, I like other knives way more than this one. But one thing is for sure, this right there is the best feature of that knife. Hands down, one of the best looking side of the knife, all knives combined. So, oh man, 9 minutes, whoo, I need to go faster. So yeah, very nice handle and very sturdy. I've heard here and there also that people don't keep or are, you know, afraid to use those knives because they look a little bit, you know, fragile. I don't know where you get that from. Maybe from the price you paid, but there is nothing fragile about that knife. That is something that I consider extremely sturdy. First of all, it's an integral build, so the integral is extremely sturdier. I mean, it's way sturdier than two slabs of titanium, of course. So that is for one on the handle, and then the blade. Some people consider that it's a thin blade, but man, that's S90V. It's unbreakable. That's extremely sturdy. So that is a knife that you can use for a daily carry for sure. I mean, if you're not afraid to use a $2,000+ knives, man, that's a knife that can hold a lot of use. I mean, of hard use, even if you want to use it that way, it will hold the edge, and it's gonna be, you know, I mean, you won't break that knife for sure. Now, the action is impeccable, and that is something also that I want to discuss. This feature right there, the thumb stud, that is the most intelligent since the thumb hole that has been created by Spyderco. This is the most intelligent thumb stud I've ever seen, and I don't know, maybe there's a patent, I don't know, why not people, everyone does that on the thumb stud. First of all, you have a tremendous amount here of surface, you know, compared to the thumb stud, that you have a small, you know, small surface on a regular thumb stud, and some of the time, you know, it's going to be a hot spot on your thumb. You know, you're going to be like, it's going to be more difficult, and it's going to hurt yourself on some thumb stud. On this one, there is less material because it's cut in half, and you have the jimping here and more surface to open the blade. So this is the best thumb stud ever because you cannot miss. Look at that. Look how it fits perfectly with the thumb, and man, it deploys perfectly well. So less material, more surface, jimping. Man, on each side you can deploy that knife and you will never miss it, and you will never be hurt with those thumb stud. This is a perfect thumb stud, and also one of the things that I wanted to you know, emphasize on this video. This is something that more makers should use. Now let's talk about the grind, because we are heading to the 15 minutes that I don't want to go over, and the grind is pure perfection. You have here the bevel, the main bevel. Look at this line, plunge line. It's absolutely fantastically done. And there is no bump whatsoever. It's absolutely perfect. The flats are perfect. I adore the different, you know, the different swedges that you have. Here you have one swedge, you know, on the top here, and you can tell, you know, let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, you can tell here that it's thin here, larger here, and thin here, because you have first one swedge here, and then after that another one here. That you can see here, the first one, and here the second one. It's really not that usual. You can think from distance that the grind is simple, but it's far from simple, because that is something that is not usually done. And to get something that is going to be as even as it is here on the spine, look at that. You see how even it is. Boom. Then after that it goes like that, and then look at this line here. To get this evenness, it's just pure perfection. So don't be mistaken and from distance thinking that the grind is simple. There is nothing simple about that grind. Just as McGuinness's grind look simple from distance, this one might look simple, but it's far from that. It's just absolute perfection, and the hand rub is just fantastically done. Look at the spine here, the work that is done. The jimping here is effective, but it's more artistically looking than effective, actually. Very nice looking, that one. The knife is sturdy, as I told you, as it can come. I don't believe there's an internal stop pin, because I think that the stop pin is the frame itself. You know, here, the surface, here, boom, locks it here. So that is absolutely one of the sturdier, also stop for the blade on the back. And look at this lock. I mean, you can tell, of course, that it's been to crease-free because the engagement is really late, but no stickness whatsoever. Very nice action, very nice centering. We are heading to the 15 minutes. I wanted to discuss about the perfection of this pivot. But time is running. Look at that. I'm trying to focus here. It's satin, and on the inside you have a kind of, you know, raw finish. Absolutely perfect knife. Do I like it? Yeah. absolutely love it. It's a little bit boring when you look at it from distance, but it's a pure and perfect knife. And with that being said, my friend, I'll catch you very soon for another video. Bye bye. It was a pleasure.